Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to call the Health Subcommittee Appropriations to order. And the purpose of our meeting today is to hear a presentation on House Bill 321. So we're going to call on Representative Jody Lott to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you taking your time out this afternoon to hear this bill. HB 321 that you have is listed as LC 337720-EC. And this bill extends the sunset provision of the hospital Medicaid financing program provider payments for an additional 5-year period, changing the date from 2020 to 2025. It renews the authority of DCH to continue administering this program. Most of y'all were members of the House of Representatives when this sunset was last extended. The House Budget Office has been so kind to prepare a brief history of this program and discusses its inception in 2010, and it was last renewed in 2017, and you've been provided with that material. And I know that most of you have an understanding of this program, so I will just keep briefly let you know about the significance and impact to the state's Medicaid program, and certainly its impact to our state's most vulnerable population. Governor Kemp has made healthcare access, affordability, and quality a priority of this administration. Extending this sunset is critical to the stability of our Medicaid system. The hospital provider payment program generates $311 million, and in doing so, we draw down an additional $657 million in federal dollars to support our Medicaid system. Providers and patients are impacted by this program. Any consideration to not extend the sunset would leave our state budget with a nearly $1 billion hole, a hole that would directly affect all Medicaid providers in Georgia, and more importantly, have a potentially devastating effect on our state's most vulnerable population, those that Medicaid was designed to help. I ask for your favorable consideration of HB 321 that extends this sunset of the existing program, and I welcome any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from members of the subcommittee? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you. Do you have a question? No questions. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
We have 3 people who had signed up that wish to be heard on this matter. First is David Tatum, and then Matt Hicks and Jimmy Lewis. So, David, if you would come up and talk to us and identify yourself, please.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. I'm David Tatum with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and we strongly support the extension of the Medicaid provider fee to 2025. Children's has the largest Medicaid payer mix of any healthcare system in the state. Of the 381,000 individual children that we treated last year, who generated over 1 million patient visits, 60% of those were covered by the Medicaid program. It's the highest in our history. Therefore, we have a tremendous interest in the fiscal stability of the Medicaid program, which we feel would be devastated if this were to sunset without renewal. You just heard it would leave a $1 billion hole in the Medicaid budget, and historically, there have been proposals to address that shortfall by doing things like cutting provider rates at a time when this body has been very interested in increasing provider rates to encourage more providers to participate in the Medicaid program. I also think that may be ill-advised at a time the state is considering entering into a discussion of an important Medicaid waiver. You need the stability of the Medicaid budget to be a part of that, to let the state consider the parts of that waiver and the options under it and make the right decision. So we thank you and would hope you'll favorably report the bill.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Tatum from members of the committee? No. Thank you, David. Next, Matt Hicks, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Matt Hicks with Grady Health System. Also like to request your favorable consideration of the bill. The provider fee benefits Grady. As you know, it supports an 11.88% rate add-on to Medicaid, and Grady benefits to the tune of approximately $13 million a year from that program. We also, because of the way that it supports the Medicaid rates, we believe it supports a strong Medicaid provider base in the state of Georgia, which we believe is a specific state interest. So we just would like to request your favorable consideration.
Good. Thank you. Any questions for Matt? Thank you. Jimmy Lewis, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. Appreciate the opportunity to share a thought or two with you pertaining to the provider fee and how it relates to rural hospitals in the community. I'm CEO of Hometown Health and represent nearly 50 hospitals depending upon the day and the count. But nevertheless, we're very appreciative of the opportunity to talk about this and thankful for the fact that we've got it. It's kind of interesting. I went back and looked at the history to 2010 and the conversations that went on at that time. And the numbers that I looked at were rather traumatic if we didn't do it. And if we had $1 billion hole in the budget, what would we do? I can give it to you in simple terms. You just write rural health care off the map. The nature of it would be if we lost 11.88%, that's the add-on, and if we took the cuts, we did the calculations then that it could be as much as 30% cut in the Medicaid rate. I can just tell you that would just completely wipe out rural health care as we know it because of our payer mixes being so stringent on Medicaid. So we appreciate the opportunity to share those thoughts with you and certainly do encourage that every consideration be given positively to passing this bill and supporting the movement of provider fee on to the next stage. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lewis? Thank you. Okay, that's the only 3 names I had on the list who had signed up to want to be heard. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak on the bill? Okay. I hear none, so with that, I'll entertain a motion from the committee. Have a motion to pass and second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Mr. Chairman, you want me to remind about 4 o'clock? For the chairman, just to remind everybody, we're going to be having a full appropriation meeting in this room at 4 o'clock, so I want you to be sure and be here for that. Thank you.